All right, hello geometry students. Welcome to lesson 131 where we are going to be classifying shapes. We're going to be taking a looking at their properties, their characteristics that they have, and kind of trying to group them according to their characteristics. If you notice right here, he talks about in lesson 125, that was where you created all of the shapes, where we did a bunch of the rotating and reflecting with the patty paper and used triangles to create new shapes. And then in lesson 126, you study the different types of symmetries that a shape could have. So in section 1.3, there's only two sections. It's 1.3.1 and 1.3.2. But we're going to continue looking at those shapes and learn more about their characteristics and the things that we're going to look at. So by the end of this lesson, you should have a greater understanding about the attributes that make shapes alike and which make shapes different. Okay? And throughout the rest of the course, you're going to study these qualities that set shapes apart as well as learn how they're related to each other. Okay? So here is the geometry shape bucket, if you will. These are all the different types of shapes that we were looking at in the previous lesson and the things that you're going to look at in this lesson as well. If I take a look, I'm going to skip problem 110 and we're going to go straight to problem 111 in the lesson. And I'll talk about that again in a second. But we're going to take a look. Notice it says to obtain a Venn diagram. So remember, right down here is what a Venn diagram is. It's overlapping circles. Okay? So for problem A, the left circle is going to represent any shape that has at least one pair of parallel sides. The right shape is going to represent any shape that has at least two sides of equal length, two congruent sides, if you will. And then, if you remember about a Venn diagram, the middle portion are the shapes that have both of those qualities. Okay? So anything in this area right here would be a shape that only has one pair of parallel sides. Any shape that is here would only have at least two equal side lengths, and the ones in the middle are the ones that would have both. Okay? And if a shape doesn't fit in any of these areas, then you'd put that shape on the outside, meaning that it doesn't have any of those qualities. Okay? So A is going to go through and have you sort all of the shapes according to that. B, they go through and they just change the properties, but it's the same idea, only having three sides and having a right angle. And then in part C, they change it to start talking about reflectional and rotational symmetry. Okay, so that's kind of the idea as you work your way through that. What I want you to do is I'm going to have you go into your ebook. Okay, and so I'm going to go into the ebook. Once you're logged in, you're going to go into lesson 131, and this is what'll come up. Okay, same exact lesson that you were looking at. Like I said, we skipped problem 110, so don't worry about that. And then here's problem 111. And the reason I'm going to have you go into your ebook and do this is they all have these e-tools that we can use. So if we take a look, if I click on that, it goes right to a full screen, and here's the exact same Venn diagram that we had from before. And then a whole bunch of shapes that you can kind of drag around. Okay? So the question is, how do you know which one of these is which? How do you know which one's the rhombus versus the parallelogram? Okay, things along those lines. So if you take a look over here, notice they've got the names, okay? And right next to that, there's a little folder-looking thing, okay? If I click on that, what you'll notice is the square appears and disappears. So I now know that this shape is my square, okay? So let's say I put that someplace right away. So does a square have at least one pair of parallel sides? Okay. Yes, it does. It has two pairs. Does it have at least two sides of equal length? Yes, it does. It's got all four sides equal length. So because it has both of those properties, a square would end up right there in the middle. Okay, that's what we're looking for. It's got both of them. If I go through and I take a look and I'm trying to figure out which one's the kite, I can take a look. Oh, there it is. I see it down here in the corner. So a kite, does it have at least one pair of parallel sides? No, it does not. Does it have at least two sides of equal length? Yes, it does. It's got two sets of equal sides. These two sides are congruent. They're equal length. These two sides are equal. So it does. So because it has one property but not the other, that kite would belong in that spot right there. Okay? And so what I want you to do is in your e-tool, I want you to go through and you can check the different problems. I want you to place all of them. When you're done placing those, I want you to take a screenshot. And you're going to bring that screenshot with you to class so that we can discuss it. Okay? Like I said, once you've gone through and you do all of them, you can screenshot the your final answer and then bring that to class with you. Okay? Then you'll come in, you can click out of that. Then you'll come down here to part B. Again, you can click down here, and I want you to do the same thing now for part B. Place all the shapes wherever they belong. Take a screenshot again when you're done, and then go through and bring that with you, and we can discuss that when we get here. Okay? And then same thing for part C. Okay? So you should have 3 screenshots, 3 problems that you're working your way through that we can talk about in class when you get to that part. Okay? So now, if we just quickly go back to the lesson to finish this up, here is basically a summary of Venn diagrams. So if you're not quite sure of, again, kind of what the whole Venn diagram is or how to use it, this summarizes what a Venn diagram is and what each place means in that Venn diagram. So take a look at that. It's a good explanation of some stuff. It's a summary of the lesson. Okay? Practice to learn for today, 112 through 116. Again, it's all the problems. Go ahead and work through those, and good luck. I hope everything goes well for you on this lesson.